Alright people, what's up everyone, and welcome to another reaction video for today, and I figured I might as well take a look at this. This is from New Rockstars, link in the description if you want to check it out yourself. I'm sure you already have. This is the Black Widow breakdown, Easter eggs, and details you missed. I watched the one they did for Loki episode 5, which I thought was really well done, and I figured I'd take a look at this one. Which I should probably go back and watch the Rick and Morty ones too, but I think I'll probably just cover those as I watch the rest of Rick and Morty season 5. So, episode. What episode are we on now? Are we already on 5? That doesn't sound right. I think we're on 4. Okay, good. Jesus. Time goes by too quick. Are we? Right? We are. Yeah, we're on 4 tonight. Anyway. Whatever. Anyway, Black Widow breakdown, Easter eggs, and details. I just watched this yesterday. I enjoyed it. That was good. Definitely wasn't my favorite MCU movie. I thought there was still some problems, but for the most part, pretty good. So let's take a look.
Welcome back to New Rockstars.
What's up,
I'm
man?
Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Marvel Studios' Black Widow, which finally tells the story of the most secretive Avenger and the blood on her ledger. Really is the first MCU film to release after a 2-year gap. It's just welcome relief to appreciate all the interesting filmmaking details, the MCU Easter eggs, and other hidden gems that appear all over this film. Spoiler warning!
Must be a lot of them.
And
25-minute video.
Past or pashed. And before we begin, be sure to head over to newrockstarsmerch.com for our Black Widow-inspired latest obsession shirt. A kind of play on the classic hourglass logo. Super limited supply. We got another Black Widow shirt design you might like, as well as some Loki designs like the Gator Loki polo shirt and the Loki Out of Time tee that I'm wearing. Get it all at newrockstarsmerch.com. Here we go. We open in Ohio, 1995, where Natasha Romanoff, age 11, played by Ever Anderson, daughter of Mila Jovovich, spent her youth with a family of Russian spies. Now, these include Yelena Belova, Florence Pugh, but here, Violet McGraw, Black Widow's longtime rival in the comics, Alexei Shostakov, aka the Red Guardian, David Harbour, a Soviet counterpart to Captain America, and Melina Vostokov, Rachel Weisz, aka the Iron Maiden from the comics. But from this dysfunctional family unit, we get this film's central thematic conflict: forgiving your family. Because the main events of Black Widow are set right after Captain America's Civil War in 2016, 2 years before the Avengers would reunite in Infinity War. But in this interim period, with her Avengers family and this kind of divorce, Natasha Romanoff must both forgive and seek forgiveness from her past family so that she can learn to heal the family that she chose. Similar to the premise of The Americans on FX, Russian spy families are actually a real-world thing. In 2010, the FBI arrested 10 Russian illegals, including 4 couples who'd all been living undercover in America for years. And you'll notice the opening credits allude to this with a TV report from WHIH, that's Marvel's in-universe news service, about Natasha's family being outed, evoking those reports that we saw in 2010. But the year 1995 is an eventful one in MCU history, as S.H.I.E.L.D. was stretched thin, dealing with the Skrulls and the Kree and the return of Carol Danvers.
Didn't realize it was the same year.
But also, elsewhere in the universe, Gamora was taken from her native people and turned into a deadly weapon.
Wow.
Thanos, parallel to the girl soldier.
All the girls.
These two. Young Natasha has blue hair covering up her red roots, already foretelling a life of hair alteration and masking her red.
I thought the blue hair was gonna be the thing you missed. Alright. Yeah, the whistling. That comes back later.
Which they echo to say goodbye at the end of the film.
Yeah. And then she does again in the after credits, right?
And the opening lines of this film are also bookended.
Exorcist detail?
I bet you're gonna first.
And later when Natasha finds Yelena on the ground, Yelena says,
"We're both upside down."
After stealing a secret government disc, they have to flee, and they play Yelena's favorite song, Don McLean's American Pie, a song about the 1959 plane crash that killed early rock and roll stars Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper, a song that many interpret as a kind of allegory for American pop culture throughout the 50s and 60s, with all these crazy specific references that Don McLean has cryptically never acknowledged what they actually mean, but generally it is about American disillusionment of that era. But interestingly, Yelena just likes the song for its simple, catchy melody, not really realizing the darker truth of the lyrics, much like the way she sees her life in Ohio as just pure and genuine without really understanding the darkness of what's going on. Notice how the song plays over
the opening scene in this movie is so good.
Including a football game, recalling the lyrics of the 4th verse of American Pie about a football game halftime marching band refusing to leave the field, which some say could have really been about the Beatles' rock takeover with Sgt. Pepper, and in the shot you can see the marching band on the far end of the field there. When they get to the plane, Alexei clears the way by showing some surprising super strength.
Yeah, I was all like, oh.
notice how the trailer flips with just a solid thud, no bounce, just a subtle animation effect showing how heavy this thing is. Now, they're pursued by SHIELD SUVs, not those of the FBI or even the local PD, indicating that they're not being chased because they're Russian spies, but because they interfered with a SHIELD operation, which we learn more about when they arrive in Cuba and meet with General Dreykov.
And the North Institute. Ashes.
Yes, the North Institute is from
Ray
a
Winstone's
2004
character.
run of Black Widow
So
comics.
lame.
The Institute worked on
I
behalf
love
of
Ray
the
Winstone
Gynecon
also.
Corporation. I know, it's called the Gynecon Corporation. But they were killing off Widow agents after they purchased Russian biotech from the Red Room's successor. But in this film, it's a similar program, but run by SHIELD, which was secretly run by Hydra at the time, in conjunction with their Winter Soldier program to produce a cellular map of the inner brain for chemically induced mind control. But Dreykov is a familiar name.
Can I just say, when they did that pig thing, I should have said this in my review, that was really not okay. It says everybody in the theater laughing as this fucking pig is slowly dying. I'm like, okay, whatever.
To you, first mentioned by Loki all the way back in the first Avengers film.
I got red in my ledger. I'd like to wipe it out.
Can you? Can you wipe out that much red?
I'm not even gonna say anything.
Dreykov's daughter.
And yes, we will meet Dreykov's daughter very soon. But these opening titles are scored by Nirvana.
I didn't realize in Avengers 1 they actually brought that up. Cool.
Like Teen Spirit, but covered by Think Up Anger, featuring Malia J. Now, this song was written by Kurt Cobain as an anarchic anthem for disaffected Gen Xers. But now, through this female voice, it's used to convey these girls being converted into mindless assets for the interests of the powerful. Notice how Natasha breaks away to give Yelena something folded. This was the photo booth strip that she took from the car, which Yelena later used to mark her message for Natasha. The montage shows a close-up of Dreykov's ring, which later is the key that Natasha uses to unlock.
And doesn't what's her name have it at the end, and they show like a close-up and she had it. Florence Pugh's character.
The Red Room data.
Yelena.
The montage shows footage of them staging home videos of Christmas and other holidays, as Natasha reveals later that all the photos in their albums were shot on a single day with different backdrops to make them look like a convincingly American family. We see a close-up of a red hair bow rotating to become the hourglass shape of the Black Widow logo. Now, a human target, similar to the ones Natasha remembered shooting at in her Red Room flashbacks in Age of Ultron, but were actually people. We see imagery of the North Institute file and pigs, a clue for how Melina will use the North Institute data to test mind control on pigs first, but then later...
And then everybody will go, hoo, in the theater.
Used as metaphorical pigs for the slaughter. And then all these crazy photos of Dreykov, photoshopped photos with various world leaders,
JFK.
Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, Boris Yeltsin, Condoleezza Rice, and Vladimir Putin.
I'm sorry, not JFK.
Yeah, so much for this guy.
Why did I think JFK? Maybe did I just fill that in because I was just like, oh, you know, I was probably just thinking like a joke, like he was there with JFK. I think I was just like joking in my brain while watching it.
We catch up with Natasha Romanoff 21 years later in 2016, right after Civil War, when she was on the run.
I guess with JFK, no, I guess it really wouldn't make sense. Well, Ray Winston's pretty old. I don't know.
Returns as Thaddeus
he would have been
Ross
pretty young though.
Natasha Romanoff was in violation of the Sokovia Accords. She assaulted the king of Wakanda. Make an example out of her.
Yes, referring to the superhero registration law that Captain America refused to sign, and Natasha, despite initially agreeing with Tony Stark, swung over to Team Cap by attacking Black Panther to allow Cap and Bucky to escape. And Ross tells her,
We got Barton, we got Wilson, and another guy, the incredible shrinking convict.
Referring to the members of Team Cap, who at this point were still imprisoned on the raft, including Hawkeye and Falcon, and the incredible shrinking convict is Ant-Man Scott Lang, and I love how he uses the Hulk's incredible moniker for that. Natasha brings up Ross's triple bypass surgery that he used to explain his absence at the start of Civil War, but she slips him by actually being on a ferry to Norway. I'll get you, Black Widow. In Morocco,
I'll get you. Doesn't show up until the end of the movie.
Belova leads a team targeting an older widow, Roxana, who sprays Yelena with the antidote to the widow's chemical subjugation. I like how during their knife fight, Yelena drops the knife from one hand to the other. I love that move. Natasha actually later uses it while fighting Taskmaster.
Yep, the classic move. Watch out, Night King.
Taskmaster as they watch footage from the Civil War airport battle of Hawkeye fighting Black Panther. That was actually updated from the trailer version of the shot that showed Taskmaster watching footage of Natasha and Iron Man 2. So in the comics, Taskmaster is Tony Masters, a mercenary and assassin with photographic reflexes that mirror the combat style of any combatant.
Now,
But this film...
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I read the comics. I've said many times before I do not, but this character is just really cool from everything I've seen him in, and
changes the character to, as we learn in the third act of the film, Antonia, Dreykov's daughter, with all of her mirrored fighting not being an innate physical skill, but instead based on some fighting analysis algorithm in her heads-up display in her helmet and the chip that's in the back of her head. So she's a bit more Terminator-y now. But I'll say this is similar to the upgrade in Iron Man's Mark 46 armor that he used to also predict Cap's fighting combat style in Civil War.
Right.
In the safe house, Natasha meets her contact, Rick Mason, Otifa Benley.
Passports, a couple of local driver's licenses.
Fanny Longbottom.
Yeah, later on in the post-credit scene, Yelena names her dog
Fanny.
And then this exchange.
Some mail and personals from the Budapest safe house.
Budapest?
Yeah, Budapest.
No, it's Budapest.
Budapest. Budapest.
Budapest.
Yes, Natasha is using the Hungarian pronunciation, calling back her exchange with Hawkeye in Avengers.
Yep.
Just like Budapest all over again.
You and I remember Budapest very differently.
Natasha looks at some blonde hair dye, setting up how she will change her hair
I thought that
by
was
the end of
funny.
this film to set up her look in Avengers Infinity War. And she watches the 007 Roger Moore film Moonraker, with some surprisingly similar plot points as Black Widow, including a skydive parachute sequence that people definitely should not have survived, and a hidden base.
God, I wish there was a guy with metal teeth.
But Taskmaster attacks
If
Natasha.
Taskmaster took his helmet off, or her helmet off, and she had metal teeth, I would be like, all right, now I'm okay with it.
Using a shield with a discus hurl that she likely got from watching footage of Captain America. And I love this detail. When Natasha crawls
why
out
would
of
you
her
think
vehicle
that?
looking for Taskmaster, notice how the vehicle suddenly stops teetering, even though without that, nothing would be weighing down that side of the vehicle, telling us that it was Taskmaster who had landed on top of it. Natasha tries to take down Taskmaster with her classic scissors maneuver, but
Didn't work.
Taskmaster uses it right
I thought
back
that was
on.
really good.
And within Taskmaster's
Like, how you
heads-up
like
display,
it.
on the right are the words evaluating defensive measures, with on the left a predict percentage and a threat percentage, and then various pressure points on her body with percentages
man.
maybe to
It's a
show
Fist
how
of the North
effective
Star
a
shit.
blow to that region would be, or how likely Natasha
She
is
just
to use it.
explodes.
Again, yes, this is very similar to Stark's Mark 46.
damn, I love
tech,
Fist
so
of
much
the North
so that
Star.
I'm wondering if a version or an early prototype of it could have been stolen from Stark's research. They do simultaneous flip jumps to their feet, something that Natasha remembers as a move she later uses in combination with the downward punch to release the antidote on her. And then in the second scan, Taskmaster's display shows 2 numbers per arm, the top of which may correspond to the likelihood she'll strike with that side, the bottom maybe meaning how much of a threat that strike would be. And then the directive has changed to redirect to primary target, meaning
Vials.
that all of this is being viewed remotely by Dreykov, giving her commands moment to moment. Natasha lassos Taskmaster to the overhead beam, but Taskmaster slashes
I thought it
and
was
swings
dope, and
into
then they
this
use it.
acrobatic
I
flip,
thought that was
maybe
cool.
a move that she got from watching videos of Spider-Man that we know are on YouTube at this point, and knocks Natasha off the ledge, but with her, the vials. So Natasha takes these to Budapest, where she spars with Yelena, and then after the fight she asks,
What bullet does that?
Arrow.
Not bullets, arrows.
another reminder of Natasha and Hawkeye.
Should she know that though?
Past
I
and
guess
Budapest,
whatever.
perhaps this was some scuffle after their attempt to kill
Even if I looked at that, I wouldn't think it's a bullet.
Reveals was the final step in her defection to S.H.I.E.L.D. Yelena didn't want Natasha to bring the vials back here. She wanted her to give them to her scientist friends on the Avengers like Tony Stark, but Natasha says they aren't talking. Just one example of how the Civil War really just left the world a less safe place. They're chased by other widows. One tragically breaks her leg, so Dreykov decides to terminate her.
I thought this was
from
pretty
his tablet.
fucked up, yeah.
Taskmaster chases them in a freaking tank, plowing through the cars on the street as they are fleeing on a motorcycle. And with Taskmaster's
Good little
Terminator
chase.
essence, it's just hard not to see this as an homage to
Yeah.
the chase sequence in
For
T2
sure.
Judgment Day. Natasha and Yelena
I mean,
hide from Taskmaster.
there's no way you
ceiling
can't.
vent.
You can't think of
I
it.
spent 2 days hiding out up here.
The doodles
Playing
include a
tic-tac-toe.
Hawkeye arrow, some games of tic-tac-toe, and a game of hangman. It's hard to make out what the word was supposed to be.
Button. Button. There you go. Probably not.
But
But
based on the letters and the wrong letters are
Oh, wait, no,
chosen,
there's
I'm
more.
gonna guess
there's more. Okay. I thought there was only 6. Is that an F for the 7th letter?
butterfly. A flash
No, I should have. I wanted to
shows
figure it
that
out.
Budapest mission
Probably.
with Natasha tracking Dreykov's daughter. Yeah, that sound effect of Antonia stepping out of the car is a modulated version of the sound Taskmaster made earlier when she hopped out of the car to confront Natasha on the bridge.
So they couldn't make it more obvious that.
Telling us that they are the same person. Yelena explains that the reason Dreykov was able to stay off of Natasha's radar or never tried to kill her was to stay hidden from the big Avengers.
Wait, what are the big ones?
Well, I doubt the god from space has to take an ibuprofen after a fight.
Of course, referencing Thor, though Thor was off-world during Civil War. But this low, Yelena mocks Natasha's...
What is it? ExpressVPN.
Flip back.
It's a fighting.
Yelena mocks
I feel bad
Natasha's
too.
landing
Yeah, I thought that was
pose
really
with
funny.
the hair flip back.
It's a fighting pose. You're a total poser.
You're a poser.
One of my favorite running jokes of the movie, but also an example of how, to Yelena, Natasha's family of the Avengers seems like a joke. A way of hitting back at her for Natasha saying Yelena thinking her Ohio family was so great, that being a joke. Later, they talk about their parents.
Did you ever look for your parents? Your real ones?
Well, my mom abandoned me in the street like garbage.
In Endgame, Natasha would be shaken to hear Red Skull call her daughter of Ivan, meaning she has some father out there named Ivan. But back in Infinity War, he also called Gamora daughter of Thanos when he was not her biological father, just a very hands-on paternal figure. So really, this leaves this Ivan guy MCU mystery. Yelena says she invented history.
Drago.
My sister moved out west.
That'd be amazing. Oh, because his first name was Ivan, right?
Is that right?
You're a science teacher.
I think
Your
it was.
husband, he renovates houses?
I like to think of this hypothetical life as Natasha marrying Bruce Banner, who does, in a way, renovate houses. Yelena mentions wanting a dog, which she does get in the post-credit scene. On the drive, Yelena says, "See my vest."
It has a lot of pockets. But I use them all the time. I've never had control over my own life before, and now I do.
So when she gives this vest to Natasha, and Nat shows up wearing this same vest in Infinity War, it's not just about the pockets, folks. It is a symbol of she and her sister having
I noticed that at the end.
their lives.
It's been a little while since I watched
Alexei
Infinity
in
War.
prison.
There he is, Captain.
Red Guardian's time. I grab hold of his shield. A test of strength.
Yeah, the other prisoner is right to point out, if this was 1983 or 84, Steve Rogers was still frozen in ice. And assuming Alexei had been in prison for longer than 5 years, it's impossible for the two to have ever met, or Cap to have any idea who he is. And Alexei goes on with his story.
Anyway, this shield, that he carries with him like a precious baby blanket, I use it to my advantage. I take it, I push him out the window.
But if you think about it, Alexei does get a kind of victory moment this way in the
Yeah,
final
because he throws a
sequence,
shield.
using the shield to his advantage to smash a soldier.
Yeah, he threw it like a fucking boss, too. I just wish he did more in the fucking movies. Like, alright, him versus Taskmaster. Taskmaster beat his ass like it was nothing. I'm like, alright.
Awesome, including a Russian Imperial Eagle on his chest and Carl and Marks across his
I
knuckles.
didn't know that.
Natasha and Yelena sent him a Red Guardian action
I want
figure.
that. The trumpet is
It
calling.
sounds like David Harbour actually recorded the Russian catchphrase.
Oh, did he?
And I
Yeah,
love that
that's
Natasha
great.
and Yelena assumed he would be wistful enough to pull that string so that he would find the earpiece in the head. On their tablet, this prison is called Seventh Circle Prison, which is the name of a run of the Punisher Daredevil comics, but also the Circle in Hell and Dante's Inferno for souls that have committed acts of violence. Alexei's strong enough to break glass and kick down the doors, but not to climb the second level, perhaps justifying why he was unable to escape in the past. Natasha does her posed landing. Yelena blows the tower, which triggers an avalanche, and Alexei springboards off a shield to make it up finally, similar to that moment in the Avengers when Natasha springboarded
where her arm shit got ripped out.
To some Chitauri. And then after lifting him out, Yelena hits Alexei for abandoning
I guess
him.
her arm.
Yes, if it's her
She
time of
always
month,
won
which
to grab
they
on the
respond.
thing.
I don't have a uterus.
Or ovaries.
Yeah, that's what happens when the Red Room gives you an involuntary hysterectomy.
Yes, a much more vivid description of what Natasha described in Age of Ultron to Bruce Banner.
They have a graduation ceremony. They sterilize you. It's efficient. One less thing to worry about.
So they find Melina on her pig farm where she's using mind control tech to guide
Alright.
these pigs through a maze like lab rats. I just feel so bad for these pigs, especially
Yeah,
the Alexei one, the one she nearly suffocates. Of course, not to mention the human test subjects, whom she never really seems to feel that bad about torture.
she should be in jail. Like Red Guardian, maybe sure. Even though they don't go in depth on the shit he's done, I'm sure he's done horrible things. But fucking come on, like really, she. All right. All the other widows have been like mind controlled at least, and picked when they were young. Maybe she was young too. I don't know.
He stole the key to unlocking free will. The world functions on a higher level when it is controlled.
Which leads to an argument over whether they were a true family at any point.
Our family was never real, so there's nothing to hold on to.
Please don't say that. It was real. It was real to me. You are my mother. You were my real mother.
But
that was a
afterwards,
good
Melina
scene.
and Natasha end up coming together over Natasha learning that her biological mother continued to look for her and then was killed off by Dreykov. I just feel like Melina's switch comes a bit too quickly, as if she might have had another agenda here. Like, she could have revealed this to Natasha in order to gain her trust, but really to further incentivize Natasha to kill Dreykov in order to remove him from the Widow program and allow Melina to step in and take over the operation. Like, I just have a lot of questions about her plan. The way she has only one earpiece set, which is kind of a weird detail, almost like Melina wanted all the communication of this plan to go through her. And this plan was to offer to help land the Red Room right into Ross's lap, even though that could end up with her behind bars. And she does this by sneaking into the engine control room of a base that she designed and therefore would know that Dreykov would be watching her, so that she would have to, oopsie daisy, do svidaniya, the engine, to crash the whole thing that would conveniently destroy all evidence of her role in this chemically subjugating women program.
Now, they could make this work in a future Black Widow thing, if they do another one, which I'm sure they will. It might not be with Scarlett Johansson, but I guess they could go in the past again. But that's just he just made it very clear that there's a big, maybe not a plot hole really, but a big character discrepancy. Can I fucking speak?
I'm just saying, things lucked out pretty great for the Iron Maiden. Let's keep an eye on that one. But back while they're talking,
or they weren't thinking about that while writing the movie, and they're just like, well, they won't notice. They'll see the funny guy in the red who's fat and go, oh, I'm Russian and fat, whatever.
Snaps at Alexei.
The only thing you care about are your stupid glory days is the Crimson Dynamo, and no one wants to hear about it.
Dynamo is good.
Crimson Dynamo was another Russian Marvel villain.
Oh, okay.
Whom in Iron Man 2,
I should have figured that.
Anton Vanko, Ivan Vanko's father, and Ivan's fake ID bore the name Boris Turgenev, who is the second Crimson Dynamo in the comics. Dreykov's forces arrive, and Yelena finds Natasha, or who she thinks is Natasha, but in that closet, the masks are no longer hanging, and the red and brunette wigs are taken away, just a clue that Natasha and Melina must have swapped. And they go to the Red Room, a floating base, somehow hidden in the clouds.
Now you'll know how Dreykov stayed above the radar all these years.
Kind of a weird thing to say, but remember, Natasha is a big fan of 007, a genre where the villains tend to declare their plans aloud, and so by doing this, Natasha gives Alexei details that he otherwise might not have had, which might be why Taskmaster immediately re-sedates him. So Natasha, disguised as Melina, meets with Dreykov, who gets right up in her face right away.
It's making my ass.
Yeah, notice he inhales through his nose briefly, and then shortly after he cuts her off and forces her to sit while gripping her head. Yeah, he may have caught from this moment, or even from her scent, that this is not the real Melina, and then just plays along. And then as Dreykov boxes her in, saying Natasha is a traitor, the light from outside dims on his face, and then the jig is up.
When you look into the eyes of a child you have raised,
because this is
no mask in the world can hide that.
Because at that point, I'm like, okay, he's a little, like, generic, but he's, like, a little threatening. And then he becomes, like, a big man baby, like, shut up! And he smacks her. That's fucking sucks.
Yeah, spy shit. Natasha previously used a similar mask in Captain America
Winter Soldier.
And more
Another comparison to Winter Soldier.
Used one of these in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. In Dreykov's office hangs a portrait of Rasputin. This was the mystic healer
who will be in the next Kingsman.
Russian royal family of Tsar
Kingsman tie-in?
Reflecting how Dreykov might see himself as the man with the magic touch running the empire.
I hope Rasputin's more badass than this fucking douchebag.
Toppled due to a violent revolution. When Dreykov tells Antonia to reveal herself, she does so by hitting a specific button on her Buzz Lightyear panel, something Natasha notices and then later uses in the final blows of the fight on the ground to pop open her helmet so that she can spray her. Dreykov reveals he has been making Widow agents out of girls all over the world. It's kind of impossible to count all of them on the screen, but by going by the little red squares, since we know each of them is a face, it looks like about 48 rows down and at least 3 times that wide, so around 7,000 widows or more, which is an insanely huge army of assassins.
Damn.
Notice how this map shows no widows illuminated in the Wakanda region. Now, this is still right after Civil War. Wakanda has not yet revealed itself as a major world power. People just
I don't think any
poor farming country. But really,
widows could
Dreykov's
get in
talk
there
about
anyway, right?
toppling world empires really would not have upset the global status quo that much if Wakanda remained standing. And once Dreykov shows his cards by saying he runs it all from that control pad, Natasha responds,
Thank you for your cooperation.
a callback to Avengers when she tricked Loki into
same thing
revealing
with
his
Loki.
plan.
Thank you for your cooperation.
So Natasha severs her olfactory nerve so that she can attack Dreykov, and you can see the moment she
I
smashes
did laugh
his
at
ring
that
when
point.
she places her hand
She
on
went
his
poof.
control pad, it's right over the ring, and as he falls back, no ring. Dreykov's glasses fall off.
Now, quick question. I'm not sure how it works. When you break your nose, does that mean you can't smell anymore? Like, I assume it'd fucking hurt, and obviously something would not be working, but I feel like maybe you could still smell, unless you, like, really fucking break your nose, like, real bad. I don't know. I have no idea.
Off as she hits him, but when the widows save him, he puts them back on, signaling how he's back
Not that
in control.
matters.
But setting up, when he dies, his glasses fly off after
Right.
Elena blows his getaway jet's engine.
That was a really embarrassing death scene, by the way.
When he dies, his glasses fly
Woo!
off after
Woo!
Elena blows his
Yeah,
getaway
then you go,
jet's engine.
woo.
Meanwhile, Taskmaster's fighting Alexei,
Some of those
showing off
effects
some
are not good.
vibranium claws like
Yeah, like Black Panther.
and kick flips the shield, just like
Yeah,
Cap.
just like Cap.
Also, notice Taskmaster shows that she's been watching footage of the Winter Soldier as well, because she does.
She does a flip a
signature
little
knife
knife.
flip. Natasha fights the other widows as the red light from Dreykov's world map beams the faces of the other girls onto their own faces, just showing how all these women are connected, fighting for the fates of all the women around the globe. And Elena hits them all with an antidote grenade, and as Natasha downloads the data about the other widows, their faces flicker past, creating this kind of Michael
kinda
Jackson
like-
black or white music
yeah, a little
video
bit.
effect where they all merge into one. Just another display of how all their forced servitude connects them in a way. When Natasha frees Taskmaster from the cell, Taskmaster's heads-up display in the helmet flickers, a little sign to Natasha that the prediction algorithm is glitching and she might have a chance to break through to her. But the base explodes and crashes, leading to this insane skydive battle. And to stop her sister from falling,
Nothing makes me
first,
think
echoing the first
espionage
scene,
thriller
Natasha dives
more
after
so
her
than
with a parachute, and then miraculously makes it to the ground safely enough. Natasha gets a scissor kick.
I mean, a lot of them have had
bases
bases exploding, people jumping off, I guess.
In the aftermath of all this, the family makes their peace.
If it can work out with the four of us, you know, maybe some hope for the Avengers.
Yes, this movie's way of linking the forgiving family theme with Natasha's coming conflicts alongside the Avengers, which Natasha echoes again in the final scene.
It's funny, my whole life I didn't think I had any family. Turns out I got two. So
Vin Diesel is jealous.
I'm gonna go break a few of them out of prison. See if I can't help patch things up.
With her short blonde hair and Yelena's vest, she is ready for when we would chronologically see her next in Infinity War. Now, timeline-wise, this would set all the 2016 events of Black Widow just in the few days during the epilogue of Civil War, linking back up with Cap as he broke the others out of the raft at the very end of that film. And then still leaving it a big mystery what they were all doing for 2 years on the run after
Yeah, so they gave us
And as she
another
takes off in
movie,
the
I guess,
Quintet,
right?
The music is Alan Silvestri's Avengers theme.
I thought that was good. Brap, brap, brap.
Leaving us with the shot of the fireflies in the trees, just like in the opening scene, but now visually linking with the glows on the world map, each glow representing one of the forgotten lives that these sisters have now put on a path to liberation. Now, I broke down the post-credit scene in a whole other video, go check that out, but that is everything I noticed in Black Widow. More videos will be coming out on this channel about this movie soon.
pretty
So
good.
be sure to subscribe to New Rockstars, follow me at EA Boss, follow New Rockstars. Thanks for watching those Vidania douchebags.
Hey, what you call me? Alright, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good one. A few things I didn't notice there, for sure. And for the most part, I feel like when it's a movie, though, I'm way more, especially if I'm not doing a reaction, I'm way more, like, I notice more things. But there was also that many Easter eggs in that movie, I guess. And more, definitely not as many as Loki, at least the episode 5. I'm assuming episode 1 through 4 also has tons. But to be fair, I guess episode 5 was where you could really put a lot of Easter eggs in that world where, like, shit was just everywhere, you know? The Void, is that what it was called? Was that what it was called? Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, so that was good. Little vid. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Again, just like the last one, that one went by real quick, almost 30 minutes. Damn. But yeah, pretty fun. So there you go. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Oh God. Thank you. Oh, there it is again. Goodbye.